Hello everyone, my name is Sahil and in this today's video, I shall be discussing with you 7 science-based tips which can help you to clear this examination in just one attempt. These tips I had accumulated after reading so many books on productivity, time management and efficiency, and I frankly wished that this video should have existed when I started preparing this exam. So let's start with the video. Now, first thing is that you should be mindful about the Pareto's principle. First of all, we'll understand what is Pareto's principle and then we'll see the application of Pareto's principle in our UPSC examination. So, according to Pareto principle, it provides that 80% of output, 80% of your result is because of your 20% of inputs. Let me give you some examples. For example, out of your entire wardrobe, there are 20% of clothes that you wear 80% of times. There are 20% contacts in your phone book which you call 80% of times. Whenever you visit any restaurant, 80% of people order just 20% of items. Any corporate, their 80% revenue comes from 20% of their products. Same way in UPSC, 80% of the questions they can be traced to 20% of most important topics, which is truthful, particularly in the case of your optional subject. If you analyze your optional, you would be able to find out the patterns that there are 20% most important areas, particularly in optional. Though in GS, we cannot say it always, but in optional, 20% of your units are such where 80% of questions are coming. And that only you can learn by analyzing at least last 10 years of papers. And frankly telling you, I did that particular thing in my final attempts and I actually saw a result. So first thing is that after this video, you will take 10 years papers and identify that 20% of section which is yielding chunk of your questions in the examination. And if I give you example of some GS papers also, for example, when we talk about polity, within polity, 80% of your questions are coming from 20% of your units. For example, fundamental right, TPSP, fundamental duties and parliament. This is the place from where majority of questions have come. So try to identify patterns using the Pareto principle. Then moving on, the next important thing that you need to keep in mind is how important role a checklist play in your day-to-day time management as well as your day planning. Now, understand one particular thing that often you might have found this thing that you started your day with a lot of energy, there was a lot of passion, but after 2-3 hours now you have lost pace, you have lost direction, you are demotivated and you don't feel that you have energy to do something. Why it happens? We can trace this particular thing because of a phenomena called as decision fatigue. Now, what is decision fatigue? See, in one day, a person has to make 20 to 35,000 of decisions. These decisions are small. For example, whether you should drink water now or should wait for 5 minutes. Fine. For example, whether you should eat food now or you should wait for half an hour. Fine. These questions, these decisions could be like this, that whether I should call my friend or not. So some minor and some major. In a day, we take 20 to 35,000 decisions, and every decision that you are taking, it creates a mental fatigue. Now, what happens? Once you have studied for 3-4 hours, after that, you are mentally so exhausted that you are not able to decide that what is the priority, what is that I should be following now. So a day before a day before, I will advise you that prepare a checklist, and in that particular checklist you need to write 5 or 6 most important targets that you are going to do the next day, and on next day be automatic. Don't apply your brain, don't apply anything, don't use any energy, just your focus should be completing the task on that particular checklist. And see this thing that as you decide this as you make this particular checklist, I want to introduce here eat that frog principle. Now, what is this eat that frog? Now, understand this particular thing. That let's take one analogy. Suppose you have to eat a frog. Now, frog is ugly, frog is unappealing, and obviously it is a lot of pain to eat that frog. Even if I'm a non-vegetarian, I cannot eat that frog, but you have to eat that frog. There can be two choices. Choice number one, you keep that frog and you think that I will eat this frog at the end of the day. or second choice is that you can eat the frog right away in the morning and then you can focus on your task. Now see, when you have kept the frog and you are waiting to eat the frog at the end of the day, your entire day you will be miserable, you will be discomfortable. This thought is haunting you that I have to eat that frog, I have to eat that frog, I have to eat that frog. Entire day you are discomfortable. But if you eat the frog right in the morning, that is the most ugly thing that you do. Now you are at ease and you can focus on the most important things. Now, eating that frog method in UPSC or your examination, identify the most challenging, most hard, or that particular target that you hate or you don't like. For example, answer writing, let's say, is one area which you don't like. Do it right away in the morning, because it will take a lot of energy which you can give early in the morning, and at the same time once you completed this, it will give you a lot of mental ease, it will give you a lot of mental comfort which you can use to propel your entire day. So always in checklist, identify the big task. Your frogs have to be identified first. So this is one thing that you have to follow while you are making your checklist. Then next is that sense of accomplishment is also that will follow once you have eaten that frog, and let's say once you have completed 2 3 tasks that were written in your checklist, and even one task you have completed, there will be a sense of accomplishment that will be generated, and with that sense of accomplishment you will feel a motivational burst which will propel you. See, always we have seen the concept of motivation in a wrong way. We think that we will get motivated and once we got motivated we'll do the task, but it is other way around. You do the task and that completion of the task generates a motivation. So just by ticking two of the task on your checklist, it will generate a sense of accomplishment and will move you throughout the day. Understand one thing for UPSC. See, please don't plan 1 month or 1 year. Plan just one day and just focus that I want to make this one day fulfilled, and repeat that process 365 times. Once you have done that particular thing, once you have done that particular thing, your entire day will become fantastic. So just focus on one day, make that day beautiful and repeat the process 365 times. Don't make monthly or weekly or yearly timetables. That is all a bogus thing. Then one more thing within the checklist I want to tell you here is that please focus on completion of task and not the perfection. See, you will spend 4 hours, 5 hours reading one chapter in your polity, but even after that you will feel that okay, I don't remember fine in entirety that what were the major dimensions of that particular chapter, or you might think that you are forgetting. But see, it happens with everyone. Everyone will face that particular thing. I will read, I will forget. But you have to go out of that particular loop. You have to have this particular thing in mind that perfection will not come in one go. However, over a period of time, the things will stay in your subconscious mind and you will be able to generate the information in the examination. So please focus on completion and not on perfection. Perfection will make you be paralytic, and if you are paralytic in this exam you will enter anxiety and you will waste a lot of time. So please focus on completion of the task. There will not be 100% perfection, and that is okay. That happens with everyone that happens. So so first tip, let's revise Pareto principle. Second is the role of checklist. Within that, eat that frog, sense of accomplishment and focus on completion. Then next, third tip is that you should be mindful about Parkinson's law or Parkinson's principle. Now, what does the Parkinson's law provides, and then how to utilize an exam? Parkinson's law provide this particular thing that basically your it provides this particular thing that the time fills or time expands as well as time shrinks vis-a-vis your task is concerned. Vis-a-vis your task is concerned. Let me explain you in very simple terms. See this thing. Suppose I have to read one chapter of polity and I give myself one entire day to read that chapter. It will actually take one entire day to complete that chapter. But if I give just 3 hours to myself to complete that chapter, there is a possibility that even in 3 hours I can do that particular thing. The point is that when you will give more time to a small task, it will actually take that more time. But at the other hand, if you give less time to a big task, there is a possibility that even in that less time, you can complete that particular task. Understand this particular thing, guys. That often what happens, we are not able to evaluate properly how much time is to given to a particular task. Okay, if you decide properly how much time is to be given, what can happen? You can achieve, you can actually achieve a concept of flow state. First of all, let me explain you the flow state, and then I will connect it with the Parkinson's principle and UPSC. So here we have this psychologist by the name of Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Now he explained this particular thing, that often in your life you might have experienced the time that you were doing some task and you were so engrossed in that task you didn't remembered when the time when the time passed. You realize that it have been 6 7 hours I'm doing this particular task. Neither you felt hunger, nor you felt thirst, nor you felt any distraction. You were so much engrossed that you don't even remember how much time has passed. That is flow state. I am pretty sure that you have experienced this flow state somewhere in your life. So that is the flow state. And flow state is that where we are so immersed in the task that that we don't feel any pain, we don't feel any effort, we don't feel any hunger, anything. Now, how to achieve that flow state? According to Mr. Milai, he says this particular thing, that see, if the task that you have taken is very easy, it is way below your capabilities, you will get boredom will come. However, if a target that you have taken is a very difficult, way above your capabilities, there will be an anxiety, there will be frustration. So, first of all, you need to identify your capability, and at the same time, you also need to identify the difficulty of a task. Because when you enter this particular phase, a flow zone is achieved. See, there is a target and there is effort or time. Okay. Suppose I give 5 hours. Suppose I give 5 hours for 40 pages, 40 pages of polity. I give 5 hours for 40 pages of polity. What can happen after 5 minutes? After 5 minutes, I am distracted. I am distracted. I'm not feeling like to read more. Why? Because 5 minutes had happened. I have already read 6 7 pages and I realize that this target is so easy. I will be distracted. I will get bored. There can be another possibility. Another possibility is that I have 5 10 minutes have happened and I have not completed even half a page. Okay, I will develop anxiety, frustration. I would not like reading this particular thing. So understand this particular thing. Flow state comes when the task that you have taken is 4% difficult than your capabilities. 4% difficult than your capabilities. Let's say your capability is to read. Let's say your capability is to read 10 pages in 1 hour. You take a target to read around 11 pages in 1 hour. This is your sweet spot where you can enter the flow state. So understand this particular thing, that while you are choosing or while you are going to do your study sessions, while you are choosing your task, ensure keep capability and difficulty of the task in mind, and with very careful assessment you have to devote time to a particular target. It should not be very random. Now how you will know your capability and how much time it takes? You have to do little bit of experimentation. It will take 3 4 5 days maximum, but you will get to know that particular thing. Is it clear or not? For example, every day I make the newspaper analysis video. There have been days where I have taken very less time to make the newspaper notes and I have taken a lot of time to take newspaper notes. Both the days were unyielding. Over a period of time I got to figure out that what is my optimum sweet spot. You also have to identify that particular thing. So again, paraphrasing, if you will take too much of time, obviously the task will not be completed. You are wasting a lot of time. If you're taking less time, it will create anxiety and fear. Again, it will lead to frustration. So keep the flow state and Parkinson's principle in your mind. It will help you to make realistic goals, realistic targets. Fine. Then moving on. Then moving on. Next, I would be talking about Pomodoro technique, Pomodoro principle. You might be knowing also. Pomodoro technique provides this particular thing, that see, Whenever you are doing a particular task, find over a long period when you concentrate, your ability to concentrate dips with the time as it passes. For example, Pomodoro technique provides this particular thing that you should divide your study sessions like this. You should set a timer for 25 minutes. You should have set timer for 25 minutes, focus for 25 minutes, and after 25 minutes, you need to take the rest of 5 minutes. Take a break of 5 minutes. After 5-minute break, again set a timer of 25 minutes, then 5-minute break, again 25 minutes, 5 minutes of break. So you have to complete it, you have to repeat this process 4 times. Okay, so what will happen? There will be in 120 minutes, these 4 sessions you have to complete. So in 120 minutes, what actually has happened, you have done 100 minutes of effective study, and try to take at least 3 or 4 of these Pomodoro sessions, and I think that it will help. It will actually, if you, let's say, take 4 sessions, 4 sessions, 100 minutes each, it can help you to fulfill your daily targets. Okay, and once you have repeated it 4 times, take a 15 to 30 minute long break. There are many applications that you can download, either on iOS or Android. Pomodoro applications are there. They can help you in that particular direction. So use this Pomodoro technique. Now what happens, see this thing, when we have open-ended windows, for example, you have just set and there is no deadline till what time you have to read, often we wander here and there. But when you can see that there is a 25-minute timer in which you have to study, you will automatically become more efficient. There will be a psychological pressure that will compel you to read because only 25 minutes have to done, and as the time is passing, you will feel that sense of urgency. So it has really worked for me and will work for you. Please try it once. So that is a Pomodoro. The next thing is that please start using the active recall. Now what do we mean by active recall? See this particular thing, that often there are times when you are not actually reading, you are traveling, okay, or you are traveling, or let's say you are doing some menial tasks which don't need a lot of intellectual labor, but these are a task. For example, you are washing your clothes. During that time, recall what you have read. Fine, for example, you read the preamble of the Constitution chapter. Now just recall in your mind that what was the basic text of preamble. For example, what are the ingredients of the preamble, what are keywords and what these keywords stand for, what is significance of preamble, is preamble a part of Constitution, yes, no, is it possible to amend the preamble, yes, no. In your mind just recall these particular things. So what will happen as you recall these things, your mind, so now see this particular thing, our mind also has a cache memory. See, every information that you are taking, it cannot be stored in your long run memory because every information is not frankly needed. For example, you are going on the street and you saw that there is a person coming from that direction and you need to be very careful. Now this information your brain will store for a few minutes. After that, that information was not needed. Even when we are reading, our brain is absorbing information, but you have to give signal to your brain that that information is important. Please store it in the long term memory. How you give your brain signal? You give your brain signal by active revision. So therefore, while you are sitting idle, while you are commuting, while you are traveling, use this active recall and it will help you to retain information. And when we talk about the active recall, I just wanted to emphasize here the relevance of flashcards. Now, what are the flashcards? Flashcards are compressed, small, compact pieces or bytes of information. For example, what you can do, you can tear A4 page in 8 parts, and on that you can just write information, and you can just write a small questions or small informations. Just have these particular flashcards with you and try to think. For example, make a flashcard, who participates in the election of president. Try to recall. If you are not able to recall, just see answer on flashcard. Okay, so this is also one way. Now how to make these flashcards, I here want to give reference of one particular application called as Anki. Now here I have given you one example. For example, you can make your these flashcards in Anki application. If you want a tour how to use Anki, please write in the comment box and I will make a dedicated video on how to use Anki for flashcards. It doesn't take a lot of effort, it is very easy. For example, dancing girl, where it has been found, you try to recall. If you are not able, then you can see the answer. The dancing girl is found in Mohenjo-daro. For example, you can also use Anki for revision of map entries. For example, here you can see that these are the map entries which we have hidden. Now, these are the important entries, for example. Now, here there is one valley. Try to recall that which valley it is. If you are not able, reveal your flashcard and it will show you that it was Chumbi Valley. That it was Chumbi Valley. So basically, you can use flashcards to actively retain information and for active recall process. Fine. So that is one. Then the next tip that comes here is that whenever you are reading anything, whenever you are reading anything, or whenever you are trying to understand a difficult concept, use Feynman technique. Now, what is Feynman technique? Just imagine that the concept you have just learned, or the concept that you have just completed, you have to explain it to a 5-year-old kid. If you are successfully able to explain that to a 5-year-old kid, it means that you yourself has understood that concept very well. How you can use it? You can explain the complicated things to your friends, to your family members, to your siblings, or anyone. And once you do that, your understanding will automatically improve. So understand this particular thing, that when you are teaching somebody a concept, you get to know that whether you have understood or not. If there are some shortcomings, you can recall that particular thing very easily. So use a Feynman technique, particularly when dealing with complicated concepts. For example, how a cyclone forms. Okay, cyclone, anticyclone, what is the difference? How monsoon comes. Okay, for these particular things, once you have understood, explain it to your friend or your relative or some of your study partner. That is something which you can use. And this is the most important: self love and self care. Often we get so much engrossed in that studies, and right now I will use a word intentionally: toxic motivation that prevails on YouTube. You will see shorts, videos, they're telling you that you have to just read for, you have to just sleep for 2 3 hours. Fine, winners, they don't sleep, they don't rest. Fine, you have to continuously study for 20 hours, 21 hours. But is it really possible? No. There is a fundamental biological purpose of relaxation, sleep, which is very important. UPSC aspirants, particularly, they compromise on these particular things. Okay, but understand this thing: you will not be able to perform at your optimal capacity if you are not relaxed, if you have not taken a good sleep, good nutrition. This is very important. Reward yourself if you are completing your targets. Don't always victimize yourself, don't curse yourself. You have to love yourself, because if you will not do that, don't expect others that they should love you if you don't love yourself. So self-care, self-love, rejuvenation, meeting out with friends once a while has to be very important. It plays a very important role. It gives you renewal, okay, a renewed energy. So this is actually very important. Finally, human is a social animal. It has certain biological, sociological needs. You cannot go against that. Okay, so please don't compromise on that particular thing. Fine. It will help you to avoid that burnout that will come. So this, I will say, is the most important thing that you have to keep in your mind. So guys, that is all for this particular video, and I expect that you got the utility of your time. Thanks for watching this video. If you have liked it, please do hit the like button, and please do leave your comments as what type of videos you want to see on this channel in the future, and we'll try to come out with that. Thank you so much.